Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner Classics / Non-Classic. This is episode number 1234 and Doubleshot number 1128. I have two Iron Man trades. My friend Edgar probably liked the fact I do Iron Man trades, except it's part of a run that he is not really a big fan of. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he actually dropped the book just prior to these, basically. He did the book after issue 11. Yeah, I don't know if he read the rest of the volume. It's not a bad remaining 8 issues, but let's talk about it. First up, we have Tony Stark Iron Man Volume 3, War of the Realms. Yes. Now, the thing with these issues is that this trade only collects 3 issues from the series. Just the War of the Realms tie-in. Yeah, and this I thought was really weird. Like in the case of the series Venom, for some reason for these issues they decided to swap writers for some reason. Yes. Like for example, for Venom, for his War of the Realms tie-in, they had frickin' Cullen Bunn take over the book for a few issues for some reason. No idea why. They kind of did the same thing with this book too. Yep. Where, get this, they had Gail Simone take over a couple issues. Yes, Gail Simone. Excuse me. I was guessing her time basically at Marvel probably in the future too. Kind of like what Ben's time at DC. My apologies about this. Okay. Now, even though that Gail Simone wrote these issues, they also changed the regular artist in the book. Now, Bernardo Shanti is in fact the regular artist for this entire book. As a matter of fact, I think he drew almost the entire run, with the exception of the War of the Realms tie-in. Now, the artwork for these issues, for the issues 12 and 13, that's done by Paolo Benetti. Excuse me. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, it's a trade that collects 3 issues in the series. Is there something else that collects? Because I highly doubt, basically, Marvel can put 3 issues in a trade and call it, just slap that set together. No, they decided to throw an issue from Kurt Busiek's run from Iron Man from back in like 2000. Yeah, they threw in the 25th issue for some reason. Yeah, I have no idea what they did this for. Yes, the War of the Realms tie-in for Tony Stark Iron Man is simply put basically what he was up to during the entire event. Mainly put, not a heck of a lot. Basically just battling some robots. Also we see appearance by his AI Friday. Yeah, she's in the book too. Though, what happens in this particular tie-in does affect the remaining issues of the run. Somewhat. So, what did Tony Stark do? Battle a frickin' dragon for a couple issues. Yes, it's awesome. Yep, that's pretty much what he did for 2 issues. Like one issue, like issue 12, he fought a dragon. In 13, he fought some guy in this medieval style armor, while also continue fighting the dragon from the last issue. That's literally all he did. Also, he reunites with the Wasp, who has been his girlfriend this entire run, which, by the way, I'll talk more about that soon. And then he decides to basically take on the dragon. He decides to pull out the old Iron Man Mark I suit. Which I don't think he's done in years. I think the last time officially he put on this suit was probably during Matt Fraction's run for Iron Man. Yep, so he beats the dragon, reunites with Janet, and apparently he's being called away for stuff happening in the main book. Now, 14 is simply put a team-up issue of Iron Man and Captain Marvel. And yes, Slott is back on the book for the remaining issues. Now, after this issue, this run will last for another 5 issues before it ends. Yep. Also, Tony puts on a new suit. Where it's mixture of red and yellow and a little bit of black. Why in the world he switched his suit? He just did. There was no panel explanation of why he decided to switch suits for, because Iron Man goes through suits as much as people go through socks. So basically, it's mostly dealing with this crown he had put on during the War of the Realms time that he finds out, oh yeah, I'm not a real guy. Well, then of course they also appearance by, oh my gosh, like Spy Master. I think I know who this guy. I think he's like old Iron Man villain that apparently Dan Slott decided to bring back for some reason. I don't know why. Oh yeah, and also, yeah, basically Jocasta knows about the whole thing that, oh yeah, Tony Stark is not really fully human. Yes. For some reason, Dan Slott decided to retcon it where, yeah, this is not really Tony Stark. It's just some artificial creation that apparently his body died toward the end of Bendis' run. Yeah, this probably for a lot of people, and this is my opinion, this is probably what turned people off from the book. Yes. Kind of like what happened during Karen Gillian's run when they retconned the fact he was adopted. But this is worse. Oh my gosh, like Slott just had to do this. So they have Arno Stark, a character who, by the way, Bendis did virtually nothing with this character. And you have Slott basically make him an interesting character. Now, what's his purpose in this issue? Well, setting up the end of this particular run, well, leading into a mini-series. I'll talk about that in a minute. And so you have basically Iron Man and Captain Marvel just briefly fighting, and then we see basically we have his chief scientist looking at his armory. Always awesome to see as a guy praised the fact that the artist basically drew this. I'm sure my friend Edgar would love to see this, basically seeing the classic armory, which apparently they decided to activate all 42 armors. Now, I'm sure that's probably a nod to something that happened in the movies. I think in Iron Man 3 when all 42 armors decided to activate and also self-destruct in the movie too. So, and then we have apparently Jocasta with a couple people that she met way back in issue 4. Yep. So, yeah. Basically, her interaction with these two would set up pretty much the very next story arc of the run. So, he talks some holograms, and apparently he decides to find out about something really weird. Like, he apparently finds out about the Iron Man 2020 armor. Yep, he finds out about that damn thing. So, yep, Tony and Carol just fight rogue rogue suits, and eventually beaten, and then he's fixed. And then, of course, Jocasta starts working for Sunset Bean. By the way, at the end of the previous story arc, Jocasta quit working for Tony because he killed Friday, the AI. Why in the world he decided to kill her off, I have no idea. Yep. Now, you're probably curious, though. Now, after that particular issue, it's like some variant covers, there's some good sketches. I love the fact they throw these in here. Not a lot of trades do this nowadays, basically use unused sketches, which, as someone who's a fan of basically artwork like this is actually pretty damn good. Seeing these, like, sketches basically by the artist, well, first by Paolo Vanentile, and then, of course, by the main artist of the book. Yeah, it's really good. And then we have Iron Man 25, which is simply put just, oh yeah, let's have basically the issue from Kurt Busiek's run, just having, well, Iron Man work with Carol again. They probably did just because, well, they have an issue in the book where Tony thinks I'm a Carol. And this isn't the only time I did it. Yep, pretty much this whole issue is simply Iron Man versus Ultimo. And they probably just did it because, well, it is the 25th issue. Well, that's not the reason why. I think it's because of Tony's interaction with basically Ultimo, which leads to stuff with Ultron, and the fact that this armor will show up, basically. It did make a cameo in the issue, so yeah, just them working together to defeat Ultimo. Yep. I think the reason why they threw this in here, and this is my personal theory, because it's just similar to issue 14. That's probably the reason for it. But I'm going to give the War of the Realms, Iron Man Volume, Tony Stark Iron Man Volume 3, The War of the Realms, a 8.5 out of 10. It's interesting to say the least. I think Tony Stark fighting a dragon is awesome, but the issue that comes right after that, it just just mostly set it for this. Now we come to the final trade of Dan Slott's run for Iron Man. Yes, I know it leads into a mini-series, little mini-event that happened just this year. But this trade is the end of the ongoing series run for Dan Slott for Iron Man. This is Tony Stark Iron Man Volume 5, The Ultron Agenda. Yep, the final 5 issues of the run. Yep, because after this book goes in hiatus for over a year. Yeah, a year, almost like an entire year. There's a reason for that. Well, there's a couple reasons why. I'll explain later. Yes, the Ultron Agenda is simply Slott bring in Ultron for this storyline because my theory of the reason why Slott brought this in, because Tony Stark basically fought Ultron in the Kurt Busiek run, so why the heck not? So, the first issue is simply Tony Stark in front of the Senate, basically discussing some of the stuff that happened during the first 11 issues, which is fine. This is okay for being here in the story. Basically, he also has possibly artificial intelligence, and brings in the AI Tony. There was the appearance by the Avengers Mansion. Yes. Now, the thing is, with this mansion, now, I'm glad the fact it make an appearance here. Now, as far as I can tell, I don't think this mansion has appeared in a Iron Man comic book in years. Like, oh my god. I think like the last time I can think of that the Avengers Mansion main appearance in an Iron Man comic book was probably back in 2004 in the Disassemble tie-in. Because if you look at basically the stuff with Warren Ellis and basically the Volume 4 that come right after that, there's no appearance by the Avengers Mansion that I can think of in the book because the mansion's gone. Heck, even when it's rebuilt in 2010, it still doesn't make an appearance in the Iron Man book, mainly because basically the Avengers is not based out of there. Okay, fine. So, at the time this came out last year, it had been 15 years since the Avengers Mansion itself had appeared in an Iron Man comic book. So, high praise for Dan Slott for bringing this in. And then having appearance by of all people, two people who have very good association with each other. Vision and Wonder Man. Yes, the Vision. A character whose brain patterns are based upon Wonder Man, though his body is based upon the frickin' Human Torch. You are thinking, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. No, not Johnny Storm. No way. The android Human Torch, Jim Hammond. Yep. That was a retcon established by, I think Steve Eckhart was the one who established this retcon. That, oh yeah, there was at one point they claimed that the Vision was the Human Torch. Like, how the Human Torch became the Vision. Yeah, that was really strange. But yes, that's the thing with the Vision. It's a complicated history with this character. Wonder Man not as complicated, but Vision, oh my gosh, his history is so freaking complicated. Though I still don't understand why the heck they decided to get rid of the yellow cape, switch to the green, but it's a good look for him. So basically, they're greeted by Edwin Jarvis. Now, Jarvis, when was the last time he appeared in the Iron Man comic book? Well, the thing is, in the last, 16 years, Marvel has scaled back on this character. I mean, he's been a great supporting character for Iron Man and the Avengers, but my god, wow, they really trimmed down this man's appearances. I mean, what have they been doing for the past 16 years? Well, he did occasionally appear mostly in the pages of New Avengers. He also appears as a supporting character in Amazing Spider-Man. Let's see. Aside from that, right after the whole... That lasts now, him being a supporting character in Amazing Spider-Man, that lasted one more day. That's when that stopped. In the case of New Avengers, that stopped with right after Secret Invasion. Because after that, he didn't do very much. I can't think of really much for immediate appearance. I think his next appearance I can think of. Well, I think he appeared just after Secret Invasion, the actual one. And then he also appeared for Access. There's that. And he was also a supporting character in the Unstoppable Wasp title. Yeah, he was a supporting character the whole series, and he was also part of the all new, all different Avengers title, where he was there for pretty much the entire run of that book. And he was not there for the relaunch that when it was simply just retitled simply just Avengers. He was absent for that because he was in the Wasp title. So in the case of Iron Man, this is probably his first appearance even longer. Like it had now he's another character who has not appeared in the Iron Man book in a long time. Because I don't think he appeared either in Matt Fraction's run, not that I can think of anyways. He didn't even appear in Karen Gillian's run. So it's great though Slott brings him in, but he's under mind control from Ultron. So like something strange is going on, so the master plan. How? It's frickin' and then we have robot protesters in front of Stark Unlimited. Yep. What's the purpose of these robots being here? Set up Iron Man 2020. That's the whole purpose of the storyline. Is to set up that mini-series. So then we have sort of a Iron Man and Wasp being attacked by apparently Vision Man. Well, it's a combination of the Vision and Wonder Man. Who did this? Frickin' Ultron did this because he can. So, and then we have Edwin Jarvis show up again, still pretty brainwashed, and he zaps the Wasp and puts her in his pocket. Yes, the pocket of his vest. Because she's tiny. Because of course she is. And then of course, well, Iron Man gets beaten and then of course takes all the robots. And then we finally see that yes, it is frickin' Ultron who's responsible for this. Well, it's a weird, creepy thing. Now the thing is, prior to this book coming out, the last time he appeared was back in the pages of Uncanny Avengers. Yes, he appeared in that book, though he also appeared in Infinity War, so apparently Slott forgot the fact he appeared there. Yes, despite the fact these issues came out after Infinity Wars, apparently he forgot the fact that they basically unfused. Yeah, he completely forgot about that. Or that was just a dream. I'm not really sure why in the world he would do that for, but... Yep. Now, you're probably curious though, when was the last time Tony Stark fought Ultron in his own comic book? Not since Kurt Busiek's run. That was the last time he fought Ultron in his own book. Last time he fought Ultron was back in 2013, leading up to the Age of Ultron miniseries. Yep, and oh yeah, by the way, why is Jocasta working with Sunset Bean? To turn her into a human being. Yes. Though the process that wasn't finished because Ultron himself showed up, basically pooped in the party. Because he really wanted to marry Jocasta. Just cuz. And eventually, throughout most of the storyline, we have it's where Wonder Man and Vision are still fused even after they're captured by Tony. So basically, like, despite the fact he was into the sun, he still lives. Though apparently Slott forgot the fact he appeared in Secret Empire. Yes. Like, they mentioned, oh yeah. Like, I know how he was shot into the sun. And mentioned it happened in Uncanny Avengers number 12. I'm like, that happened before Secret Empire. But apparently Slott forgot the fact that he did return. And Tony Stark did interact with him in Secret Empire for a very weird issue. I'm like, why the heck would Slott ignore stuff like that? Yes, apparently either he forgot or just ignored what happened in Secret Empire. Now, the Captain America book clearly has to forgot what happened in Secret Empire. But apparently Slott tried to ignore anything that happened in the pages of Secret Empire and establish the fact he has not made an appearance since that particular issue of Uncanny Avengers, despite the fact he has. Yes, he seriously has. He made an appearance in Secret Empire for one issue. And Slott either forgot it or just decided to write the issue out of continuity for his own thing. Well, at least Slott's retcons are not as bad as, let's say, Bendis' retcons tend to be, or the retcons Jeff Johns does. But this is one of those rare times. Now, Slott has used the retcon card. But he doesn't use it as much as Bendis or Jeff Johns does. Jeff Johns, when he uses it, it makes something awesome. Bendis uses it. He used it like recently for Civil War 2. His retcon basically ticked a lot of people off. Yes. So they have Beth Cable go to the Candyman robot bar while posing as a robot to basically figure out the whole stuff with Ultron. Oh yeah, and also that Sunset Being has got a scar on his face like, I'm disfigured. And of course Aaron Sack is like, boo hoo. Boo frickin' who. Yeah. Yeah, I like the fact he's written that way because it's a scratch. It will go away. Like, yeah, it's a freaking cut. So what? It's a small cut. It's barely noticeable. You can cover it up by freaking using makeup, Sunset. Yes. So, Aaron Stack is right to basically say this. So he doesn't freaking care about her freaking scar. Though it looks like that she's talking to Aaron Stack, but then he's talking to Tony. She's talking to Tony. Well, basically because in the same room. So, and then he's like, I'm not here for Jocasta. I'm here to see my brother. Yes, apparently Slott decided to turn Arnold Stark, Tony Stark's brother, evil for some reason. I have no idea why in the world he did this for. So, and apparently the device is still in Jarvis' head, despite the fact that he disabled it. And then, of course, well, then we have Machine Man team with Iron Man, which is awesome. I think our freaking Ultron because of Jocasta. Then we have these weird organic robot zombies. Oh yeah, and then Aaron Stack basically, basically I betrayed you because I wanted Jocasta. So then we have a merger between a robot and frickin' apparently it's a merger between Jocasta and Tony Stark to form this thing. Yeah, I know it's weird, but it's comic book. Comic books are always weird. I love this cover for issue 17 of Ultron Pym fighting Iron Man. It's a great cover. Yeah, probably one of the best things about this run. And then we see what looks like this the Avengers Mansion. Now we see that apparently this girl attacking the mansion made his image. I think this could be Death Locket, but it's not. It's not. It's just basically some random people attacking. So Beth Cave keeps disabling Jarvis, though. And then we have, Jocasta / Iron Man fighting Ultron, which is awesome. And, of course, this big brawl. Actually, yeah. Jocasta's basically back to somebody else. So, eventually, of course, that they eventually, apparently, they figure out a way to unfuse Wonder Man and the Vision. And apparently, even though Tony called help with the Avengers, he apparently didn't contact him. Nope, apparently Ultron intercepted and basically mimicked the voice of Captain America, making it unavailable. And we cut briefly to Alpha Centauri. Apparently, that's where the Avengers were sent on a wild goose chase. Because, of course, they were. New Age. Then, of course... And then we have Rhodey, at least his robot he's in, taking Ultron. And then, of course, Rhodey calls something he hasn't done in a long time. He apparently decides to contact his own frickin' suit. Yes, he finally puts on his War Machine suit. Now, you're probably curious, though. When was the last time he put on the War Machine suit? Let me think here about that. Oh, let's see. Well... I can't think of the last time he did it. I think the last time he may have did it was back in 2015. So, it's something that he puts on the suit again. And this is the first time in years he's put on the damn suit. And apparently he's still some from basically his old, like claustrophobia thing that he started back in the 90s. Yeah, apparently Slott brought that back despite the fact other times he put on the suit, he's perfectly fine. Like when he put on the Iron Patriot suit, he's perfectly fine. And apparently Slott decided to bring back the fact, oh yeah, he suffers from panic attacks when he puts on the frickin' War Machine suit. Just cause. Ultron, and we have Vision, we have Wasp, and frickin', well, War Machine fighting Ultron. Though apparently, in between issues, we had where apparently War Machine has changed suits. Where he apparently has trimmed down, like apparently, like his suit looked like this. Like it's a gray looking suit, like this apparently is the War Machine suit that he wore in issue 17. And then by 16, he changed suits between issues. No explained reason, just that he did. And he wears his suit for the last couple issues of this run. Yep. So Iron Man's merged with the robots. So they eventually found a way to unmerge. They already successfully unmerged Wonder Man and the Vision. So they used that. So we continually have, and then we have apparently a chain, like apparently the artist cannot keep War Machine's outfit consistent. Like, oh, looks like it's black in one panel, and then another panel it's back being gray again. Yes, no idea why. But that's the way it's basically, I don't know why the editor didn't catch that. And then we have Vision and Wonder Man fighting Ultron. And apparently it looks like that Jacasta's been transferred to, not Jocasta, but Tony. Apparently it transferred to the body of Friday. Apparently he erased her for some reason. Well, basically because she was corrupted. Yes, so, and then we have Tony basically sort of his own body, trying to figure out a way to emerge himself with a robot he's basically part of. And then we have Ultron in this full covered suit fighting Janet and, well, Tony inside of Tony's body. And then Tony comes across a blood thing, because Maria Stark Foundation. And apparently, for some reason, don't know why, Arnold Stark does something completely unthinkable. At his lab at Benetronics, he decides to clone his dead parents. Yes, Howard and Maria Stark are alive. Yes, they are alive for some reason. Like, apparently he decided to revive them. I'm like, these two have been dead for a long time. Why the heck would Slott resurrect them for as freaking clones? Oh yeah, and that tech looks very similar to that same cloning technology that Ben Reilly used for Clone Conspiracy. It looks very similar. Though I'm not surprised that Dan Slott would use this, because he did the same thing in Clone Conspiracy. Of course he did. Eventually, of course, Tony Stark is freed from the robot fusion. And he's like, okay, time to get Ultron. So he decides to bring out the old Mark IV armor, which is great to see this thing. I'm sure my friend Edgar would love to see it. Yep, and then the last issue is the last issue of the run. Tony puts on the suit. And apparently it looks like that, well, part of Tony Stark's mind is in Friday's body. So he pretty much, we have Ultron going to apparently Stark Tower. And then apparently we see that Aaron Stack has survived, though Jacasta's in Friday's body. And then we see that we have Iron suiting up to take on frickin' Ultron. And then we have another brawl between the two of them. Yep. And we see sort of the unfusion of various, like, the organic and non-organic stuff of robots. Basically, in a way, Ultron has become the Borg Queen and basically made his own Borg. So he apparently surrenders, and then he's put into a cell and just put on ice for a while. And then we have Carol talking to Rhodey. He's like, Rhodey, you okay? Be in the armor. Hard part's over. I gotta tell you. Carol, finding out the cyborg people were already dead. Make me easy to sleep tonight. Get that. How are you, Tony? And then we have Tony breaking up with Jan. One last kiss. And then the last couple pages are simply put, set up for, well, so then we have Tony basically just outing himself like, oh yeah, like, information that Senator Brockman must acknowledge. I am an artificial life form. All the crisis Dark Limited, my responsibility should reflect the people of the company. Or the late real Tony Stark, Squillammy. So apparently it revealed that the Senator is working with Arnold Stark for some reason. And then we have apparently Arnold's apparently got hands on Stark Unlimited. And Beth comes in and is like, Arnold, Mr. Stark, whatever similar was going on here, merging with Barrett, trying to say, says to me is how competition she broke into him countless times. And so it's like, Bethany has a point. Breaking into this place was way too easy. Agree, security here is awful. Miss Cave, you're fired. And like, all the toys are property of Biotronics and the Maria Stark includes your War Machine armor, Connor Rhodes. Yeah, take it with the Pentagon because that's who I answer to now. Rhodes out. Sir Burkhill, let Rhodes keep it. I don't care. I don't care about the old suit. The relics of the past. My concern is future. This God-buster armor. All my resources want to make it. This is the Iron Man of 2020. And we see Aaron Sack put on his old Machine Man suit. And then we see Tony drinking. And of course you have Maria and Howard just drinking. And then we see Arnold put on the Iron Man 2020 suit. Yep. What's the whole point of this final page? Set up the miniseries Iron Man 2020. Yep, that's the simple gist of it. Now, all in all, this was a pretty good storyline, though it's kind of done the fact that Slott just retconned Secret Empire. Yeah, he just ignored Ultron's appearance. I thought that was kind of dumb. Now, this technically is the end of Dan Slott's run for the ongoing Iron Man series. Yes, this is leading to Iron Man 2020, which, by the way, Tony Stark plays virtually no role in it. It's mostly all about Arnold Stark. Yep, so with the whole stuff with the main Iron Man book, yeah, Dan Slott's done. Completely done. My friend Edgar was not really a big fan of this run, mainly because he kind of felt as though the run was not going anywhere. The fact they finally used Iron Man villain, the fact it was his least favorite villain, the Controller. I'm not really a big fan of the character at all. No, I think the Controller is kind of dumb. I like the other villains. They're great. I love those. I do agree the Controller is not a very good villain, but if you look at his appearance, he looks like frickin' Thanos. Yes, he looks like a Thanos ripoff by appearance-wise. The only difference is he's got different color scheme, and the fact of his debut years prior to frickin' Thanos. The thing is, people never put two and two together if in fact the Controller is really Thanos, or Thanos is the Controller. They're two separate characters. The thing is, Thanos is more well known compared to the Controller. That's just the gist of it anyways. But I think all in all, when it comes to this particular run, it felt... Now, in the case of what Dan Slott did with the book, it felt like, with issue 19, that kind of felt like the end of this run. Yes, even though this did lead to the miniseries, even though that it kind of felt the way that Dan Slott did it, where he basically was planting the seeds for the Iron Man 2020 event, which was delayed, which was basically got about a few issues before it got delayed by the pandemic. Yes, though it did conclude perfectly fine, and it did set up it did pretty much kind of in the way kind of laid the groundwork for the current Iron Man book, which is actually pretty good. I like the current Iron Man book. It's written by a TV show writer of all people, though. Here's the interesting thing. Alex Ross is the cover, just like how he did for Captain America recently. Yeah, it's interesting how he's doing the covers for 2 books now. Like, previously, starting in 2015, he's doing the covers for all new Avengers, which he still did it for almost the entirety of Wade's run, up until it reached the triple digit numbers. For his experiment, he did it from the start of the 2015 run up until I think he stopped with issue like 800. So he did pretty much the rest of Dan Slott's run for the book. Yes. Now, the covers have all been really good. All 19 covers for this entire very brief run were really good. And it's surprising, though, that this run didn't have an annual. I would think they would squeeze it in. Now, I like the fact that Sly has interesting ideas when it comes to the book. His supporting cast was interesting. I like the fact they brought back Beth Cabe. I think that was a good choice, especially as no one has seen his character since Frax wrapped up his run for the book. And she's once again Chief of Security for Tony Stark. Kudos. I also like the fact that Rhodey is a supporting character again. That's good. I like the fact he basically did a callback to something from the 80s with Tony Stark basically rekindling his relationship with the Wasp of all people. Which, that was interesting development. Though it didn't last very long. It seems as though once it's run in, that's it for the relationship. Now, who would Janet with next? Nobody, because Janet's doing nothing. I kind of felt as though that Dan Slott was throwing Janet a bone because I don't think any writer was doing anything with the character, so I kind of felt, okay. Like, he probably heard about the past relationship between Tony and Janet way back in the 80s. That or somebody told him about it. So that's probably the reason why he did it. Having Jocasta book, that's interesting because it seems as though if you read all 19 issues, it seems like he's blatantly setting up Iron Man 2020. But at least it wasn't like after a quick arc. He actually did a build up. He built this up for 2 years, which gotta praise him for that. And though I do think definitely that I do agree at the time that he was definitely a good choice to come onto the book when he was not taking over for Mike Bendis. He was definitely a good choice to take over for the guy. But excuse me, in the run overall, it's been very mixed at best. It had some good stuff, had some bad stuff with it. I think the World of Realms time was interesting. Though it's kind of weird, though, that basically Slott took off for a couple inches because of War Realms. But as far as I can tell for the other books, with the exception of Venom and Tony Stark Iron Man, all the rest of the books were done by the regular writers. Yes, for some reason, just for these 2 books. From all the books I saw, these 2 were the only ones that actually did not have the regular writer write the book. Now, as far as I've heard, I don't know what the explanation is for that. Like, Slott himself has never done an interview explaining why he took a couple issues off of the book. I don't know, but that's what happened with the book. But if you look at all in all, it's a pretty short run. Probably by far in the last, I'd say 5 years, this is the shortest run ever for Iron Man. Because if you look at, let's say, Bendis' run, his run was like a little over 2 years. Yeah, a little over 2 years. And he put out a lot more issues than Slott did. Slott did 19 issues, though he only wrote like 17 of 19 issues. Though, in the case of, if you wonder what my thoughts are on 2020, you'll find out when I chance to talk about the main miniseries. And there's also tie-ins. Yes, this has tie-ins. Though, oddly enough, it's mostly a lot of 2-issue miniseries tie into it. I'm like, really? Okay, that's interesting. Though I get the reason why they did Iron Man 2020. Because, well, there's a character Iron Man 2020. He's from this particular year. So why not have the Arnold Stark, the brother of Tony Stark, become Iron Man 2020? A guy who's pretty much a villain. Yes, he's a freaking villain. Even though the guy has never appeared in years. I'm like, I would think, though, for the event 2020, they would bring in the guy from the alternate 2020 to this particular event. Though I highly doubt in that first 2020, we didn't have a freaking pen that in that particular thing, we didn't have they didn't have the pandemic going on during the part of the world is probably a futuristic world. Well, what I saw looked like it was a futuristic world. Here it's just still normal how stuff is nowadays, despite the fact people promise flying cars nowadays, despite the fact that clearly didn't happen because FAA refused to basically prove it. Yeah, I know this video is quite long, but basically it's mostly talking about Dan Slott's run for Iron Man, a run that I thought was okay, wasn't all that good, wasn't all that great, but all in all, that's pretty much it for this particular video. Not much else to say about it, but yeah. But in the case of videos, this is probably my last one today. So expect a handful of videos coming tomorrow. Okay, just like video. Bye.